mostly about bonds payable. It's long-term liabilities, and for most corporations, it's going to be about bonds. This is one of those topics that I'll guarantee you is going to be on the CPA exam. I've done every CPA exam forever, and it's just especially for larger companies, they do a lot of stuff through bonds, and so that's why we're going to kind of go through it. All right, and hopefully you guys got the handout. And the first like 2 or 3 pages, it's kind of like explaining what bonds are. It's one of those things that's not always obvious. First of all, generally you match up long-term liabilities to long-term assets. So things that are long-term, you use long-term financing. Things that are short-term, you use short-term financing. They call it the hedging principle. You guys have already had that in your finance classes. And when we talk about long-term liabilities, we're usually either think about loans payable or bonds payable. All right, so we're going to look at the loans payable part first, and then we'll go on to bonds payable. Okay, so suppose they want to buy a building for $300,000. This is a relatively small amount. The government will probably finance the building with a loan from the bank. Okay, so here's what happens when you go to the bank. You got this building you want, and you sign those loan papers at the bank, and the bank gives you the money. Actually, you spend it on the backed by the building here. So the collateral is the building. The loan papers are your promise to pay. Those have a value. And the bank can sell those loan papers. In fact, they often do. So these loan papers that are backed by this collateral, the building, those have a value. And the value is equal to whatever they gave you or whatever you guys agreed upon. Okay, so the loan papers, and they'll have the interest rate and all that on the loan papers. And again, backed by whatever the asset is. And those have a value. So you get the building, and they get these loan papers, and they're of the same value. It's an equal value. Okay. Bonds payable. Suppose a company wants to build a factory for $300 million. All right, so this is the problem that you have for larger businesses. A lot of times they need money that is larger than they can get from a bank. And there's a good reason why they want the money. It's not like they're being extravagant or anything, but sometimes, factories, for instance, auto factories take billions of dollars. It's very hard to find a bank that can just, write you a check for billions of dollars. It's too much to put in, one basket. All right, so this is what they do. This is how bonds come in. Bonds are like taking a great big mortgage and then chopping it up into little tiny mortgages and then borrowing money from a bunch of people. So these bonds, they talk about selling bonds. What you're really doing is you're selling the certificate, but what's really happening is you're giving them loan papers and they're giving you cash to build your whatever factory, warehouse, or whatever it is. So it's simply taking that big loan amount that you need and chopping it up into a bunch of little ones you call bonds. And then each one of those individual ones, you'll use those to borrow money from a bunch of different people. And someone, might buy 3 bonds, someone might buy 300 bonds, someone, banks will still buy those too. They just won't buy the entire, 300 million. Maybe they'll buy 2 million, and this other bank will buy 3 million or whatever it is. So it really is kind of splitting up that liability. And even though we say, we're selling bonds or issuing bonds, what's really happening is you're borrowing money from people, and you have to pay them back the money you borrowed plus some interest. And in that way, it's exactly like a loan. So even though we say we're selling it, it's not like a sale. It's simply taking this large mortgage, basically, and chopping it up into a bunch of little mortgages where people can buy them. But what they're really doing is loaning you money. Okay. All right, so blah blah blah. Bonds promised to pay. So the $300 million, you dive into $1,000 bonds. And notice you're much more likely to get a loan from someone for $1,000 than you are for 300 million, which probably wouldn't be able to get from anybody. So they'll sell 300,000 of these bonds, and some people will buy 1, some people will buy 50, some people will buy whatever. Now, there is somewhat of a problem with this, and I'll talk about it in a second. But anyway, so the bonds will have a contractual interest rate, sometimes called a stated rate. And so down here, you'll see the bonds issues, sells the bonds. So basically, what you're really doing is borrowing money. So you're borrowing 300 million, and you get the factory. And then these bonds, though, are the promises to pay. They have a value, and they will go to the investors. All right. Now, there is somewhat of a little bit of a problem here. And that, well, I shouldn't say it's a problem. It's a quirk of bonds. In some ways, it's more flexible. In some ways, it's not. One of the, if you go to the bank and you and the bank can argue, but you're going to come up with some kind of an interest rate. And that's the interest rate that's going to be on that mortgage. And no matter who buys that mortgage, that's the interest rate. The interest rate will stay the same on a mortgage. So if you agree on 7%, it's a 7% mortgage, and it's going to be that way until you pay off the mortgage. Bonds are a little bit different in that the company has to put an interest rate on those bonds when they issue them. Now, the interest rate might be exactly what whoever's buying was looking for, the percentage. It might be too low. It might be higher than what the other group is looking at. So it's possible that interest rate, in fact, it's very likely that interest rate is not exactly what the market wants. And even if you try to get it, you're probably going to miss it, because you're talking about a group of thousands of investors. So there is this problem of you have these little contracts that are called bonds. They have a contractual rate, often called a stated rate. I think I call it the stated rate in Handout. But anyway, that has to be put on those bonds before, and it's a legal obligation. That whatever is stamped on those bonds, if you stamp 8% on those bonds, you got to pay 8%. If you stamp 5%, you got to stamp 5%. Now, the nice thing is, for a company, is you can kind of mold that to your cash flows, what you think is coming in, because you can kind of adjust for it. But that changes how much money you're going to get from the investors. For example, if you stamp, let's say you stamp 5% on the bonds, but the investors look at your company and they say, no, we need 7%. There's a problem there. You got 5%, they want 7%. They'll still buy them. They'll still buy the bonds from you. They just won't give you the full amount. They will discount it. They'll say, okay, yeah, these bonds you want $1,000 from, we're not going to pay $1,000 because you're paying too low of interest rate. We'll still buy them, but we'll give you something less, 900 or whatever it is. On the other hand, if you're paying 5% and the market wants 3, people will bid up the price of those bonds. Wow, this is a good deal. I'll pay a little more. I'll pay a little more. You get this bidding going on, and they'll bid up the price of those bonds, so they'll actually give more than the face value. I'll give you 1,100 for those. Whatever it is. So you have this difference between what is the contractual rate or what's stated on those bonds and what the market wants. And so that's a big part of what we're going to be looking at today is how do you figure it out? Okay. I think I got some discussion here. I think let's skip through this. I just kind of talked about this already. I want to get right through to us kind of valuing stuff. Excuse me. One of the first things that I want to do is just kind of go over the present value of money. I know you guys have had this in other classes, but it's kind of good to go through. And we're going to use the payment tables. And part of the reason why we're going to use the payment tables is the CPA exam will often give you stuff that looks like this. So you need to know how to do it because they'll show you a partial table, or they may just say, here's a single payment for 3% at 3 years or whatever. And you have to know how to use it. So that's why we have these two different tables here, and this is what we're going to use to do our calculations. I realize I don't have my calculator here. Here it is. Okay. All right. So Uncle Fred promises to pay his nephew $1,000 again to 3 years. Okay, so I'm going to make this time period 0. Oops. So this would be like today. And so Uncle Fred is going to pay $1,000 at the end of 3 years. And we want to know what that money is worth today. By the way, this kind of present value of money stuff is, if you know this, you know pretty much everything about business. This is, interest rates and all that kind of stuff. Basically, if you can find an interest rate and a cash flow, you can value anything. But we want to see what this is worth today. And the discount rate is 8%. Okay. And I know you guys have done this before. So we're going to see what is Uncle Fred's gift worth today? Okay, so Fred is going to give $1,000, but in 3 years. Now that money in 3 years is not going to be worth the same as dollars today. So we're going to come down here to the single payment table. Three years, 8%. So 3 periods, 8%. So Uncle Fred's gift will be worth, each dollar will be worth 0.794. So Uncle Fred's gift is worth what, $794. Oops. Lost the gift. Here we go. So in today's dollars, this is what Uncle Fred's gift is worth. In other words, you can buy today for $794 the same thing you'd buy for $1,000 3 years from now. Question on that? Yeah, I know you guys have had this before. So as long as you can get a cash flow and number of periods and an interest rate, you can value anything. And that's what we're valuing. So Uncle Fred's gift is worth $794. Okay. Second one. Hope I don't mess this up. Almost didn't mess it up. Okay, Fred promises to pay his nephew $1,000 at the end of each year for the next 3 years. Okay, so Uncle Fred is going to give $1,000 every year for the next 3 years. And we're going to do this with a single payment table, and then we'll do it on the annuity table. I'll tell you about that in a second. So what we're going to do is we're going to take each one of these. Let's make them green. And discount back to today. All right, so we're gonna take the first one here. This is his first gift will be worth 8%, one period. He's gonna get it a year from now, giving it a year from now, so it'll be 0.926. I was gonna do it here, 926. So today that first payment will be worth 926. The second year. That should be like that. Second year, 8%, 857. So this is that one. This is, I should put over here. This is periods. I'll clean this up in a second. Third period, same as we had before. 0794. Okay, so what is this? Uncle Fred, what's Uncle Fred's gift worth? So the total is $25.77. Okay, now here's the thing. Since all these payments are the same, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, it would be possible to simply add up all these factors and just multiply it once. It would be possible just to add all these up and then multiply it once and you get the same number instead of multiplying 1,000. If you only got 3 years, it's not that big a deal, but if you have 30 years like we might have with a bond, that would be a pain. So anyway, so this is 25. This is actually what they call an annuity table. And we'll come down here to the annuity. Oops, the annuity table got cut off. And you'll see that at 8% for 3 periods, it is that 2,577. So the annuity table is the same thing as a single table, except that all of them are added up. It's cumulative. It's adding up all of these together. So that's how we get that. And the nice thing about the annuity table, again, is that instead of doing 3 calculations here, you just do 1. Now, here's the thing, to use the annuity table though, it has to be an annuity. So an annuity, oops, can't put it there. I'll do it here. It's just a must have. So an annuity must have all equal payments. So in other words, all the payments have to be equal. In this case, they are 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. And yeah, a lot of stuff in business, they do have equal payments. So it's not that uncommon. Rent is an equal payment. Mortgages are equal payments. A lot of times there's equal payments. So you can use annuities a lot in business. Now, you can always use a single payment table. A single payment table you can always use. If you don't have an annuity, you must use a single payment table. So if you're taking the CPA exam and they give you a bunch of different cash flows amounts, they give you $900 and $1,200 and $300, whatever. It's not an annuity. You cannot use the annuity table. You have to use a single payment table. But if they give you an annuity, you can also use the single payment table. You might do more calculations. So if they gave you, four equal payments of $1,200, you could actually do that on a single payment table. The first one would be for one period, the second one would be for 2 periods, just like we just did here. So you can always use the single payment table. If it's an annuity, you can use the annuity table. And the great thing about the annuity table is how much faster it is. I'm gonna, just to get room, I'm gonna delete some of this stuff up here. Okay. All right. So Uncle Fred promises his nephew $1,000 at the end of each year for the next 5 years. The discount rate is 6%. Okay, so Uncle Fred promises $1,000. The discount rate is 6%. For 5 years. You could use the single payment table. You could, on the single payment table, you could go through all 5 of these. If you wanted to, you could do those individually. If you add all those up, they should come out to this, or maybe something close to it. It might be a little off. I think it's right on, actually. All right, so 6%, 5 periods at for $1,000. So this would be again, you could do it on a single payment table, it'd just take more time. Question on that? Okay. Now, for the really hard part. All this easy stuff was leading up to something really difficult. Did you guys do bond valuations in your previous classes? I don't know. Sometimes the instructor will have you do them, sometimes it won't. You did? Oh, okay, good. Well, this shouldn't be too bad. But anyway, we're gonna see how we do the how we actually value these bonds, and the bonds that we're gonna be looking at. Bonds come in all different flavors. There are some bonds called serial bonds. They pay them off serially. There's some bonds that are balloon intra. There all kinds of bonds. But the ones that we're going to look at are, and generally the ones that the usual ones that are talked about and put on the CPA tip are going to be what they call term bonds. I'll get back to the screen here. So, what is a term bond? No, not a term bond, a term bond. Okay, a term bond the periodic interest payments at the end of the term, and the face value of the bond is paid off in the lump in a lump sum at the end of the term. So it's paid off all at once. It's like the principal amount basically is paid off at the end of the term. That's why they call them term bonds. So, for example, 10 years. So it kind of looks like this. Um, you pay interest. Whoa, what's going on here? So, interest payment, let's say these are 5-year bonds, you'd have interest payment one. And then you're gonna also add, say the 50 or 5-year bonds, at the end of the 5 years, you'd also have the face value would be paid off. And, in year 5. Now, look at this. You can kind of see where this is going. These are going to be an annuity. This one is going to be a single payment. Let me do this differently. Make that green. So these are all going to be an annuity. And this face value, you're only going to pay that off once. That'll be a single payment. All right. So let's see what these look like. All right. First thing here. So this is what is promised on the bonds. You have a face value of 100,000 and a stated rate of interest of 6%. Interest, they pay interest annually, so once a year. We need to know that. Market rate, we'll forget about that for now. Okay, so let's go to the cash payouts per period. Okay, so on the bonds, $100,000 is going to be paid off once a year at 6%. So this one will look like this. Cash payouts will be $100,000 times 6% times 12 over 12, all 12 months. That's just one. So the payouts are going to be $6,000, right? Wait, let me make that fellow. So this is what it's going to look like. we're gonna make a break here. Because I think this goes up to 10 years. So, every year is gonna be up to 10 years. And then, yeah, so, I'm skipping years 5 through 9. You guys probably get this will do there. So we're gonna pay interest of 6,000. I'll wait for 10 years. And then we have the face value that we're gonna make in 10 years, which is 100,000. And that's our single payment. So this is how we're gonna come up with the value of it. We're gonna discount these back to today. So they're buying the bonds today. We're selling the bonds today. And this is, we're gonna contractually, we gotta pay out $6,000 every year for the next 10 years. And we also have to pay that off the face value in 10 years. I think I said 6 years. It's not 6 years, it's 10 years. 10 years of interest and then pay off the face value also in 10 years. Okay, number of periods is 10 years, so that's just 10. Okay. Bond proceeds. This is the hard part. Okay, so let's do the annuity first. What is the value of a $6,000 annuity over 10 periods? Wait a minute. There's something I'm missing here. The market rate. This is the market. That's what we need to look at. So this is going to be the market rate. So this is going to be for and the market rate is, so the market is now going to value these bonds were issued. Now you'll notice that they want 10%. We're only paying what, 6? There's kind of a difference there. Okay, so what is the value of these interest payments? Anyone? What factor are we going to use? I'm going to get rid of this stuff up here to get a little more room.
You'd use the 10% 10-year.
Yeah, can't get this.
So it's 6,145.
I'm going to take out some rows here. Yeah. So we're going to have 10% for 10 years. So 6.145. So we're going to multiply this by. You get this annuity table. So number. $36,870.
That's what I got.
Okay, so that is for the interest. And now we have to do the face amount, that's gonna be a single payment. It's still gonna be for 10 periods, these will be exactly the same, we'd be using a different table. I'm gonna wipe out some worlds here too. Okay. So this is gonna be a one-time payment of, the face value is what, 100,000? Yep. Times.
The 0.386.
Yep. So this equals what? 38,600? So those two together will be the proceeds. They're gonna pay us 36,870 for the interest payments. They valued the single payment at 38,600. So this is how much cash they're actually gonna give us for it. These bonds. They're called the proceeds. Oops. Oops. Those two are together. $75,470. So these are the proceeds that we get from the bonds. We're gonna sell them for. Oh, a little too much there. Hold on. So that's what these bonds are gonna sell for. Now, they're selling for less than the 100,000. You say, well, wait a minute, these bonds have 100,000 stamped on them. We gotta pay off 100,000 in 10 years. Yeah, but we're only paying 6% interest, whereas the market thinks we should be paying 10. So when we sell these in the market, and by the way, a lot of times this isn't a shock to anybody. They don't know about what they're gonna sell for. But the market wants 10, so that's why they're giving us less. They're still gonna buy them from us, they're just not gonna give us the full amount. That is the right number, isn't it? Did you guys get that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so this is the amount of the proceeds. And this is the hard part. The hard part's over. Okay, now. Bond premium and discount. Bond premium is when it is more than the face amount. These over. And the discount is if you get less than the face. Now you notice it's gonna be one or the other. Okay, so are we gonna have a premium or a discount?
Discount.
Yep. Gonna have a discount, and the discount will be here 100,000 minus 75 for 70. So that equals what, 24,530?
Yeah,
Closer here. There's not gonna be a premium, obviously, this is, so there's gonna be a discount. Okay, bond issue percentage. Now. This is a percentage of the face value. And there's a reason for doing this. So we know what we know what the entire bond issue is worth, $75,470. Now, here's the problem though. I want to buy 3 bonds. Somebody else wants to buy 10. Somebody else wants to buy 4 or whatever it is. We need to know how much that's going to be. Right. I mean, you got to write the check for some amount. How much is it? And so that's when this percentage comes in, so that you can take the face values and multiply by the percentage. And basically, you're just doing the proceeds divided by the face. I'll show you that. Okay. So these proceeds, I'm going to move this down here. I need room. The bond proceeds were 75. Or 70. We're going to divide that by the base. I should say the face value. One's easy. 0.75. And so this is oftentimes what you'll see these listed as. You know, this will be the they'll say these bonds are selling at 75.47%. So now you know if you want to buy 10,000 of these bonds, you're going to take 10,000 times 75.470%, or this number. By the way, on the test, it doesn't matter to me which one you put on the test give for that. I mean, most of the time you're going to convert that anyways. But so now you know though, if you buy $5,000 worth of these bonds, 5,000 times 0.7547. So the non-issue percentage is based on what the proceeds are. It's going to be less than 100 if it's a discount. It's going to be more than 100 if it's a premium. There's a lot there. Okay, I think zoom out a little bit. Okay, so this is kind of what we're looking at here. And again, it's, we got a mix, you're gonna have, for term bonds, you're gonna have a mix of annuity and single payments. Annuities for the interest, single payments for the face values. The market is gonna value both of those. And come up with some amount. Question on that? All right, you want to take a screenshot, you can do it there. I think let's go ahead and take a break. These take a little bit of time, and we're gonna do more of these, obviously. So, let's say be back at 7:02. Let's say. I hardly see that. I know, I'll circle it. Oh, there, that's much better. Okay. Okay, we'll go on and do the next one here. Let me take out all these numbers. Okay, let's see here. You can hear that rumbling. That's it's a train or something. All right, these bonds have a face value of 300,000 and a stated interest rate of face value and a stated interest rate of 11%. Okay. Pay interest annually, so once a year. For 7 periods, so this is 7. All right, so cash payout will be what's gonna be the cash payout for interest per period? $33,000. Do that all the way out for 7 years. Number of periods is 7. Okay, market. The market for these bonds is 10%. Gonna sneeze. All right, so both on the let me get rid of some of these rows. So we're at 7%. Excuse me, 7 years, 10%. Said that wrong. And the same thing down here. 10%. 7 years. Okay. I'm gonna copy this out, this from up here. I'm gonna copy all this. See, I'm teaching you guys how to be lazy. This is something you're gonna use the rest of your life. All right. Okay, so we're going to have interest payments of 33,000. The annuity amount is 4.868. This is for 7 periods. And the face amount is times 5.13. Excuse me, 0.513. All right. Oh. It's 300,000. So our proceeds are 544. So that's what these bonds are going to sell for. And they're selling for more than the face value because they're paying 11%. These bonds pay 11%, and the market only wants 10. So they're bidding up the price of these bonds to make that adjustment, basically. Question on that? Okay, do we have a premium or discount? Anyone? Premium or discount? We selling it for more or less than the face value? Yep, very good. So it is only for a premium. The premium is going to be the 14,544. And again, this is probably not a surprise. They probably knew that the market was 10%. They're paying 11% for whatever their financial reasons are for doing this. So this would be 3 minus, let me do this differently. 314 So they're going to sell it for 14,000 more than the face amount. And again, that's because they're paying this high interest rate. There is no discount. They're selling at a premium. It's going to be either or for these. You know, you're not going to have both of them. It's going to be one or the other. And the bond issue percentage. Let's see, the proceeds were 3. Uh, 105 or something. 104 something. Okay. I'm gonna go the first, oh. So these are gonna sell at 104%. Oops. So if you're gonna buy $10,000 of these bonds, multiply it by, 1.048. You know what the check is being made for. So if you're gonna buy 5,000 of these bonds, multiply it by that, you'll know how much to pay. And again, this isn't, it isn't usually a surprise to anybody. It's just the valuation. So this is an example of a premium. Okay, we're gonna do one more together, and then I'm gonna let you do the other one. There's one more after this unlock. You get the numbering wrong? Okay, that's right. Okay, this one is a little bit trickier because we have semi-annual payments. They're made twice a year. All right. So let's see what this looks like. A face value of 600,000 and stated rate of 9% are issued. Okay. Now these pay interest semi-annually. Okay, so let's take a look here. Copy this down. Okay, so 600,000. Now, semi-annual means that every 6 months, they're gonna pay them every 6 months, they're gonna pay on these bonds. Okay, so it's gonna look like this. 600,000. Times 9%. Times 6/12. In other words, 1/2 of that. You can also just divide by 2. It's another way of doing it. So 600,000 times 0.9, whatever that comes out to. $27,000. Now the number of periods it's got a 4-year life, but they're making 2 payments every period. Or every year, I should say. So the number of periods is gonna be 8. So 2 payments every year. So the interest payment's gonna be 27,000. And that could be an annuity, and the face amount is 600,000. And that can be a single payment. Okay, market rate for the bonds is 8%. Now, market rates are always given annually. Whenever you see interest rates must be stated annually. There's actually laws because banks used to do all kinds of terrible things, like tell someone you're gonna make you're gonna make 5% over 5 years, and you pay them 1% every year for 5 years. So anyway, all interest rates are always stated annually. So this 8% is actually an annual rate. Now, if we get 2 payments during the year, we're going to split it up. So there's going to be 8% will be 4%, but twice a year. Okay, and there's going to be 8 periods. Okay, so get all this stuff down. Okay, so this will be 8 periods, and the market rate will be 4%. And then we get that 4% by 8% divided by 2 payments every year. Same thing down here. Okay, well, I'll look at all these numbers. Oops, no, not those. Okay, so going down to our table here. So we need 8 periods, and I'm gonna. And 4%. And same thing down here. $8 years, 4%. Okay. All right, so. 27,000 times 6.733. And 600,000 times 731. That's 8.4. So this is rounded. Okay. I'll stop right here. You guys, I got a test to turn in, I think. No, yeah. Yeah, I think this. Check to make sure. Yeah, Friday. All right. Well, go ahead and take a screenshot of this if you need to. And again, probably why they're getting a premium here is that they're paying out 9% and the market wants 8%. So the market will bid up the price of the bond. Okay. Don't do number 7 as homework. We'll do it. We'll do this when we come back. So we'll stop there. More importantly, get the test in the chapter 12 test. If you have not, some of you have already got it in, but if you have not, make sure you get that in. So we'll stop right there. So we'll stop on examples. Problem 6. All right. So for this week, just make sure you get the chapter 12 test in, and then next week we'll pick up and the bonds. Any questions? Look at that, half hour early. All right.
No, thank you, Professor.
Don't ask a question. All right. Yeah, so I'll see you guys in a week, and so you can get the chapter 12 test in, and we'll finish up chapter 13. Well, I don't know if we'll finish up, but we'll get through more of it the next class. All right, have a good evening.
Good
Thanks.
evening, Professor.